we're good. Ali, we can just go live, I think. All right, we're live. Awesome. We're happy to have everyone on the call today. This is super exciting. My name is Sam. I'm the CEO here at roomvu, and today we have three amazing speakers, three thought leaders that will be joining us to walk us through the change that's coming to the industry. And I think we're super excited to talk about this topic because we get questions about this topic daily as to what would be the future of real estate, what would happen with the changes that are coming in the year. Right now, it's happening in the States and then in Canada. So it's super exciting to have everyone. Thank you for joining the call today. And Sabine, you can take the floor and introduce everyone.
Thanks, Sam. Sam mentioned that we're probably going to have a bit of a split. So I'd love you guys to let us know whether you're calling in from the US or Canada. If you can drop that into the chat, that would be amazing. Or whatever country you happen to be calling us from. We'd love to know who's on the line today. And, you know, in terms of the four of us, Sam and I are both Canadian and Amy and Ginger are American. So we're representing well here, I think, for everybody. Thank you again for joining us. This is a wonderful first workshop that's, being brought to you by roomvu and HIVEOLOGie. We welcome you to the first in a series of workshops. Things are changing and we really wanted to be here to support you. And the way that we are sort of looking at this is we really believe this is a good opportunity for you to become your local leader, the light in your community that people will follow because you're on top of this before the others. And frankly, we want to help you get there. So that's what we're up to today. Just quickly, my name is Sabine Steinbrecher. I'm the founder and CEO at HIVEOLOGie. We've developed a learning community 100% dedicated to accelerating agent success, and that's what we're here for. I personally have created e-learning for real estate for over 25 years, and we've delivered over 1 million courses with all of our partners, so we've learned a thing or two. And our experts, like Amy and like Ginger, have decades of experience too. So between us, we're using all of that and translating that using modern learning design and lots of other goodies like analytics and support. So very quickly, I just wanted to let you guys know that there's a link for you in the chat or in the description, sorry. And it's gohive.info/roomvu if you go have a look for it. If you click on that, we're going to send you a bunch of wonderful promos. You're going to get some free stuff. You're going to get access to a new value prop course that just launched and a couple of other goodies. So if you're interested, please do that. And to let you know, this is the first in a series, as I mentioned. The next one, if you want to scribble this down, is May 23rd at 11 a.m. Pacific. So please make a note of that. And anybody that wants to be invited, I'm assuming, Sam, they can just let you know from your end and you'll make sure that everybody knows.
Yeah, and I think this is the newest partnership that we formed with HIVEOLOGie because we firmly believe in education and educating our community as to the latest changes that's happening. At the end of this call, Sabine will take about 5 minutes to explain what HIVEOLOGie does and so on. We would also explain what roomvu does for those of you that are forgetting who we are, and that will be the last part of this conversation. But we're super excited to get started, get going, and talk about this boiling, sizzling topic, if you will.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to start with some quick introductions. So this is what I call our been there, done that team of experts. We have all been through similar things in the past. And frankly, even I know how crazy it is out there, but there's lots of times that both Ginger and Amy have had to deal with this kind of stuff in their business. And we've seen it from an educational perspective before, and certainly the solutions before. So I'm going to start by introducing Amy. Amy has been an active agent her whole career and still is. She was recently the VP of Learning for the REALTOR brands, now Anywhere. Very, very active on industry committees and has really tremendous insight and information about what's happening out there all the time. She's wonderful at that and is a really sought after course author, consultant, and trainer. And our lovely Ginger Unger is also an active broker. It's been negotiating buyer agency agreements for, Ginger, 20 years, 30 years? What are we talking?
I hate to say it, guys, 35 years. That's
35 years. So Now, this is primarily because Ginger, you might have noticed the CCIM behind her name. She's an investment and commercial property specialist primarily, and that's where a lot of her sales have been, as well as quite a bit of her education. But the education she teaches. But she's been having to negotiate comp and buyer agreements that whole time. So for her, this is the norm, and that's the main reason why she really is an expert on this, and we really want you to get the most out of hearing what she has to say. Also very experienced and popular instructor. And when she gets going, you might notice that Ginger is from Texas. There's a slight hint there somewhere. And Sam, also, you guys all know, you're CEO and co-founder of RoomVu. RoomVu is pretty astonishing, and I have to say congratulations to Sam and team. You know, to date, they've have 200,000 plus agents across the USA and Canada on the platform, which is pretty impressive. And I'm not sure if you knew this, but Sam was also an active agent. In fact, he was top 1% in Greater Vancouver while finishing his PhD at the University of British Columbia. So that's pretty impressive. Vancouver's a big market and a really active one. So, and Sam's going to be wrapping things up today with all of his wonderful marketing expertise. So having said that, very quickly, so we only have an hour, so I'm going to jump through this fast, but we have some really wonderful takeaways today. But of course, this is a very deep topic and not a lot of time. So we know this is going to be an ongoing conversation. We also know that everything is not fully settled. We know that there's been another nudge forward by what happened yesterday, I think it was, with the DOJ. But, you know, this needs to be an ongoing conversation. We're going to have to see where the chips fall. But there's no question that we can help you with two things today. We can get ahead of the changes that we know are coming. So a lot of what we're going to be talking about today, we already know we have to deal with. And we want to, like I said, we want to teach you to be how the light in your community that everybody will follow. So please ask questions. We're going to be keeping track of the questions in the chat. We'll do our best to get to some of them. Sam's in particular going to be keeping an eye on those. And if we can't get to them all, we'll make sure that that we get back to you after, and we'll do our best at the end to answer some more questions too. And then my final is our little disclaimer that we have to make. This is not legal advice. Please check with your broker, your legal rep, your province, your state, your local association, whatever you need to do to make sure that your local regulations are followed, because this is going to be a very localized solution for a lot of you too. So please do that. So before I go into transitioning to Amy, I have one question for everybody. We were thinking about something fun that would get us started. So there is a ton of chaos and confusion out there, and we know who's to blame for most of that. I wanted to ask you all to comment in the stream if you've already been fielding a lot of questions that are all about misinformation. So just a yes or no would be amazing. And if you have a second to tell us what the most outrageous question you've received so far is, that would be very interesting for all of us. And everybody can have a look at what everyone is saying. I think this is why we need to be pivoting and supporting each other right now, you know, so be interesting to see what you all have to say. And frankly, while others are out there lagging to help you, we really want to be the ones that can do that for you. So I'm going to jump right in and transition to Amy, if that's all right. Thanks for being with us, Amy. Really appreciate it. To get the ball rolling, you are our absolute best value prop specialist. So we're going to talk a lot about that with Amy today. We hear, or I hear everywhere I go right now, everybody's talking about why understanding the importance of articulating your value is one of the most important things that you can do right now with everything that everyone's dealing with. So my question to you is, why is that so important now, especially for buyer's agents?
Hi, Sabine. Thank you. I always say, be the person that people think about when they think about real estate. Now, with everything going on with the compensation, we must be able to articulate to our clients what we do, how important our role in the home buying and selling process is, and how we get compensated. We never had to do that before. And of course, buyer agents, we're going to be most impacted by the results of the lawsuit. If the decisions put forth by NAR are confirmed by the Department of Justice, MLSs will most likely have no place where a listing agent will be able to offer compensation. If the seller offers compensation, that will be communicated, but you're going to have to know how to articulate what you bring to the table as a real estate professional and have the conversation with your buyers on what your compensation is. And to do that, just like any other business out there, we have to be able to tell the consumer what we do for them so we resonate with them and they'll want to work with you. So think about it. The basics of a value prop, right? What's the definition? It's an innovation, a service, a feature intended to make you attractive to customers. It's how your business helps others. It's your elevator pitch on the benefits of what your real estate practice offers. But here's where I differ. Many times we focus on the what and the how. And you know what? There's a lot of real estate agents out there. We don't need another one of you. But what we need is a real estate agent who not only knows what and how they do, but the why. If you create a value proposition that's based on just what you do, not going to go anywhere. But if you create a value proposition on why you do what you do, you could create a movement. You will have a more visceral response from potential clients. They'll say things like, I don't know why I like her so much, but I love working with her. And we cover that specifically in our value prop class. Did that help, Sabine?
Yeah, Amy, thank you. That was fantastic, as always. How do you think articulating their value prop makes the home buying process smoother, easier, more successful? What would you say to that?
There are 19 states where we've had to have the buyer representation agreements, and that's my state is one of those. We've had to have a buyer presentation all since the 90s. For the states who didn't have that, you're going to need to have it just like you do for your sellers. It's going to reinforce your value proposition. When you have that client, you're going to sit with them, you're going to walk through the whole process in a way that it makes the buyer understand what they're in for. Because remember, there's lots of false information out there. They go on to the internet and they get misinformation. They hear things from family who bought a house 30 years ago. Things ain't the same. Times have changed. And remember, consumers compare their experience with you with the last experience they had with any salesperson. It could be buying a car. It could be buying furniture. We have to come in and really wow them. Your presentation has to create a frictionless experience for the consumer. They need to feel empowered. So you're going to go through the details. I either do Zoom or I do it in person, and my content is documented in a simple to read PDF. It starts with the statement of how I do business, what my value prop is. Then I go through financials. I go through step by step how we find and search homes. I show them what the process is of actually going and looking at homes. It's important. I share with them how to put offers in, what happens during the offer, during the negotiation, and getting to close. Those clients who are not my clients yet, they're still customers. I do offer that through social media marketing, but I make sure they give me their email address before I give them the information. So I build my email list for marketing to get new clients. So clients refer to this material all the time. I'm working with some very young clients right now and buyers, and they all have it on their phone and they're checking it off as we go through. They read it before we go and do the different parts of the transaction. So I hope that helps, Sabina.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting. This morning I was watching a live stream, and they were talking about how to get a buyer consulting appointment.
Yeah.
Because, obviously that's one of the first steps that we have to think about. And the script that they had was really good. So maybe what I'll do is I'll throw that in with everything that we're sending to everybody. Because obviously the first step is making sure that you have a proper presentation now. It's not just you meet at the house and start showing. You have to actually go through a buyer presentation and some kind of a consulting or conversation prior, obviously. So I love that, what you said, Amy.
You assume the close and you make them realize how important it is to meet with you, almost a FOMO. They're going to miss out if they don't have that meeting with you. Plus, you don't work with anyone that doesn't sign that agreement, because that's how you are going to get compensated.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think? What are some strategies for pinpointing how, these agents that are on the call today, how they can set themselves apart from other agents, like their differentiators? What would you say?
I love your question. I have a couple. One is personal. It's data. Data is hyper local. You have in your MLS access to inventory levels, number of closed sales, median average sale price, days on market, percentage of asking price received, and months of supply. You're going to use that data to help calm the fears of your buyers and your sellers. In your MLS, there's tools like InfoSparks, Domus Analytics, Altos Research, shout out to Mike, great tool. Anyway, you need very specific. So let me give you an example why you need to know the data, and I'll give you a buyer example. And I just used this. I have a client in my marketplace who has $500,000 to buy a home. But in my marketplace, houses are still selling 10% over asking. So I showed this client that they can't look at $500,000 houses. We have to look at houses that go up to about 450,000. Why? They might be in a multiple offer situation and now they have the edge. So if you show data to your buyers and your sellers, you've already separated yourself from the competition and they're prepared. And on your end, you don't have to go through a couple of offers before the buyer understands they can't go at the top of their price range. You want to get them into the home of their dreams. I've done this quite a few times, super successful, using data to show them where they need to be with their price point.
Yeah,
I have a couple more. You want to hear?
Yeah, go for it. No, that'd be great.
Okay. The other one, and you know what? We've known this for a long time. Know the personality of your client so you can engage with them better. We also have a great personality test in our course that you can use. Some of you have them at your companies. Once you know your client, you can connect with them better. So if a person is very driven, they're a C-level person, that person, they love numbers, right? You talk data. But you might have someone who lets their dog sleep on their bed and they're all about family. Well, you have to talk to them in a much different way than the numbers person. Very important. And it's great to take a class on how to do that. So that's important. And last, I'm going to go back to that. You gave me one more, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to go back to the value prop. Put it everywhere. We live in a values-driven society. People decide to work with companies based on their values, and some people stop buying products because the values don't align. It's very important. I'm going to share, but as you're creating a value prop, I want you to text some of your past clients, some of the vendors like the attorneys, mortgage people, and your friends, and say to them, hey, I'm updating my marketing messaging. Please tell me some of the things that come to mind when you think of me and my real estate career. Just text them, don't call them. And you're going to get text back. You're going to cry. You're going to be like, wow, really? That's how I come across. Use that and create your value prop. And we teach you how to do that in our class. Once you have your value prop, call them back. Remind them about how they helped you. Tell them what's going on, and then remind them what you do and coach them and say, if anyone talks about real estate, have them text or call me right away. I want to help them with their home sale or purchase. Tell your sphere what to do. They're not going to know otherwise. And that's why you hear about houses that happened, sales that happened without you. Put it everywhere, put it on your website, on your about page, have a designer create a graphic for your value prop, get it out there. If someone Googles you, they better find who you are, what kind of real estate you sell, everywhere they see your name. So I could go on, but I'm going to be quiet because I know you have two other amazing speakers.
I love it. Thank you, Amy.
That
was fantastic. And in fact, one of the things that you guys will get for free after this, if you go to that link, is we're going to send you the exercise Amy's talking about from the course. It's called.
Can you actually put it in the chat? I would
Sure.
Share it with the audience because some of our audience is actually asking about that.
Oh, wonderful.
In the meantime, I have some of the most interesting questions our realtors have received so far.
Okay.
So I'm going to read them for you.
Oh, I love it.
I heard buyer agents are not going to be a thing after the DOJ lawsuit. I think that we all can relate to that question. They will be a thing, I think. And I think it's the buyer agent that keeps saying, I'm free, use me. Those ones are going away. But the buyer agents, like in commercial, I think like what Ginger is going to tell you, you add a lot of value. And the buyer agent that actually positions themselves as the leader in the community, they would be the one staying. And they would be the one saying, hey, here's the form, let's sign it, give me a retainer or whatnot, like depending on how that process goes. And I think that's the thing. In case you guys have anything to add to that comment.
That was perfect.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, that sounds great, Sam. Ginger's going to talk to that for sure, talk to a little more of that as well. Are there, we did have one other question for Amy, but we've run out of time. So unfortunately, they're going to have to jump onto her next session to get that one. But thank you, Amy. That was amazing as always. Sam, did you want to, are there any questions from anybody?
Another interesting one that Roy heard was, I love the seller who thinks that now they don't have to pay the buyer agent anymore. I think that's a good one. Another best one is, I had a seller in the middle of a pending closing asking if she could deny the buyer agent commission.
Well, of course, right? They're going to ask.
I had an agent in my office show a property and there was zero, and she didn't, and we're supposed to do those contracts. If she had had her buyer agency agreement, she could have figured out a way to get paid. How do you show a house and get zero? So you're right, Sam, crazy out there. Everyone is right on.
Wow, amazing. Well, I think it just tells us that, with so much misinformation now and to come, we have got to start being proactive about talking to our people. Just make sure that your network knows what the truth is and why it matters. And I would think that most people would understand that people need to be compensated for their work. So, this will be interesting for everybody for sure, but there's definitely ways to do this, which is the best ever segue to Ginger, to the lovely Ginger. And actually, let me ask you this question, Ginger, if you don't mind. Do you believe that agents, especially buyer's agents, need to adjust their strategies now, or should they be waiting until settlement dates?
They cannot wait. Their agents that are proactive are already redrafting their buyer presentation agreements. They're working on their websites. They're already on social media. They are practicing with other people in their office because these questions are already being had. If you wait and do this reactively, I'm going to be ugly from Texas, you might be left in the dust, because those other agents have already been working on this for how long now, guys, do y'all think? I mean, quite a while. So please do not wait. Get proactive. Start working on this. Start practicing. Get all your documents together. It takes a while to get all your collateral done correctly. So you need to spend this time doing this and fielding those questions. So just in my humble opinion, do not wait.
Yeah, we couldn't agree more. I mean, look at us. We've started working on all these value prop resources, this sort of thing 6 months ago, a year ago. We knew this was coming, right? So I think everybody else who's been on top of this is the same. So they're already being that community leader that we recommend everybody else do. So specifically as a commercial agent, you've had to negotiate both your comp and buyer's agreements for years, as we said. We know both of these are going to be a deeper conversation. Obviously, there's lots to talk about with comp and with buyer agreements, but I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit to the compensation models that are likely to be available or currently available now, just so that we can at least start that conversation. What would you say?
Okay, well, first of all, let me explain to the residential agents that may not understand how commercial real estate works. We have lots of platforms just like you guys do, but very rarely is there a commission stated in those platforms. So for a very long time, Sam now knows how old I am. For a very long time, I have had to pick up the phone. I have had to email. I have actually had to drive to their office to get my compensation worked out. And while we're using that word compensation, I think that's a great word. I think we should move away from commission. I think we should call it professional fees, compensation. You can call it real estate consulting. You can call it a retainer fee. You can call it a multitude of things as long as your broker in your state allows. But the word commission right now has like a nasty taste to it. What do you guys think? So I think if you move away from that, and just so y'all know, in commercial, we do not use the word commission. We use the word compensation because you are compensating me for professional services. And I think that's how we need to work on this. And when I work on a commercial deal, I always look at the market. A lot of people say, well, I'm going to charge a percentage on everything I do. I need to let y'all know, in my world, I might charge you a flat fee. I might charge you an hourly fee. I might charge you a percentage. I might charge you a retainer. I might charge you a consulting fee. Now, keep in mind, I am a broker, so I'm free, right, Sam, to do whatever I want. If you have a broker, you may not be free to do that. So you're going to have to sit with your brokers and find out what kind of plans are you going to be able to actually offer. Because I do feel that the residential industry is moving more towards what we have been doing for years. And it really does matter. So if you call me and say, I would like you to find me mini storage, and I know that's the hottest thing on the planet, and there's going to be 10 offers for every mini storage building, I'm probably going to charge you a retainer plus some sort of percentage, because I'm going to put a lot more time into that deal than if you call me and say, well, I've already found the building, I just need you to come negotiate the deal. That's a total different animal. So I think you guys are probably going to have to look at the time you spend on things and how you can set your fees. But once again, that's between you and your brokers. But one thing I will say to you, and this is going to sound ugly, you cannot be the door opener. You cannot be just the person that they went on realtor.com, found 2 addresses, and have now asked you to go open the door. Because as Amy talked about, that's not showing our value, right, Amy? That is not showing our value. How I have made the majority of my money in this business is I am the person that finds off-market properties. They're not on LoopNet. They're not on CoStar. So I would encourage you guys to start looking at unconventional platforms, such as, I know this is an ugly word to y'all, Zillow, Trulia, Craigslist, Open Door. I know y'all don't want to hear this, Fizbos. And guess what? You might even have to write letters to people that aren't even interested in selling. I've had to do that for years so that I can show what my value to these buyers. I'm not just the regular Joe, and you guys don't want to be either. So the old adage of 20% of us do 80% of the business, I don't think that's going to change. Do y'all? I think it might go a little lower. It might be 15% of us do all of the business. But before you have that conversation about compensation, you have to do what Amy said. You have to bring in your value, or they see no point in paying you. So work hard on your industry connections. Me and Amy were talking about this yesterday with Sabine. I will have people call me and say, I have something coming up. Who do you have? That's not going to hit MLS. It's not going to hit LoopNet. It's not going to hit CoStar. Those industry connections are going to be so valuable to you guys moving forward. But here's one thing I want to say to calm your nerves. I have never not been paid. How does that sound? I have never not been paid. So you are just going to be doing things differently, and you're still going to get paid as long as you get the document signed. Does that sound okay? What do you think, Sam? If you don't get anything signed, well, that's not good, right?
I love that. I think the fact that there hasn't been an instance where you didn't get paid, it's a huge reassurance to the crowd today, that they know if they bring enough value, if they do the steps right and do follow a process, they'll definitely get paid, and it wouldn't be as scary as it seems now.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I want to say to all of y'all, relax. Do not get caught up in all this negativity, because if you get caught up in that negativity, you will be the blockbuster of the agents, which means you are gone because you could not adapt. You have to adapt. I know I'm being mean.
No, you're not being mean. I was just thinking about the Blockbuster.
You have to think about Blockbuster.
It was a good
Netflix tried to
reference.
buy them, and what did they tell Netflix? They told them to go fly a kite in a lightning storm, and where are they?
I know, but Netflix started by sending out CDs, so got to look back.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting about what you said too, Ginger, that I love? This is an opportunity for everybody to also diversify their income streams a little bit. Like if you've got a menu of services that you offer and how you get paid for those, then you can start thinking about, maybe you actually open up the doors a little bit more and think about, how else can I offer? What other services can I bring into the table? What other income streams are available to me? So for instance, at the most basic level, as long as it doesn't mess with RESPA, there's referrals. You can have a network of people that you're referring into situations, and that's new income for you. You could become at the smallest level, like Ginger and I were talking about, how one really small side hustle or a new income stream could be just becoming a notary for your office or something. Like there's so many cool things that you can do, all the way up to creating a new specialty in your world, where maybe you are doing some commercial, or you're doing short-term rentals, or you're opening up some new door. Really think about that, because I think that's what this is creating an opportunity to think differently about your business, how you make money, and where your money's coming from. So I think you really led into that nicely, Ginger. So thank you.
I have one more thing.
Yeah.
Many residential agents refer business to commercial agents. We pay, and I'm gonna give you a range where we don't get ourselves in trouble. We pay anywhere from 20 to 35%. That's not a bad paycheck just for a referral.
Yeah, that's
so
huge.
Think about different avenues. You can always reach out to some of us. And if you've got the right commercial broker, they should be referring back to you, because most of us don't do a lot of residential. We don't even belong to associations.
Yeah.
So you need to think about that avenue stream for yourselves.
Yeah, it's a great point, Ginger. Thank you for that. We only have a couple more minutes, but we wanted to talk a little bit about buyer agency agreements. Maybe take a minute just to talk about what you really want to say about, sort of the importance of them. Obviously, everybody knows at this point that we need to get those signed, but maybe talk a little bit about what they typically include, or where somebody would find one that's relevant to their local area, that kind of thing. What do you think?
Well, as Amy said, there's only 18 of them currently, but there's going to be a whole lot more, because it's going to be a requirement moving forward. Texas does have a buyer's rep agreement, but it was not mandatory. So in Texas, if you are not working with a buyer's rep agreement, you're actually working for the seller. You are not working for the buyer. And a lot of agents do not know that. So a lot of them, when they got to closing, were totally shocked they didn't get paid. So I would say it's in your best interest. But here's the problem, guys. We were talking about this yesterday. We need to flip the script. We do not need to sit down with buyers and say, I need you to sign this agreement because this is how I protect my commission. My brokers demanded this. That is the wrong messaging. You should be saying, I need you to go over this buyer's rep agreement with me because I want to show you how it benefits you. Everybody wants to know what's in it for me, and you getting paid isn't what's in it for them. Do y'all agree? They want to know what's in it for me. And as you go through these buyer rep agreements, there's a whole section about what is the broker going to do for you as the buyer. Go past that little paragraph, because that little paragraph, and I'm paraphrasing because all of yours might say something different, but it basically says, as I'm your broker, I am going to find you the home of your dreams, blah, 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 blah. You should go past that and say, I'm not just going to look on MLS. Let me tell you what I'm going to do to find you the home of your dreams within your budget, take care of all your pains and issues, go past that. And then the next thing that most of these agreements talk about is how you can be represented. In our state, there's intermediary and there's people that are represented by different brokerages. Most people, if I lined them up against the wall, 10 buyers said, what does intermediary mean? None of them could tell me because agents don't explain it. You need to explain to these clients you have a choice and how you get represented. And then I would go into the next section about confidentiality. Anything you say to me will not be divulged to lower your negotiating power, such as you just got transferred here, your other home is under contract, you have way more money than you offered them. This is the house of your dreams and you'll die if you don't get it. None of that will be divulged because that is going to weaken what? Their negotiating ability. And then also you would want to go into some other items about how we follow the code of ethics. We are bound because we are realtors and there are certain things fiduciary we have to do. This is going to sound old, Sam, stick with me here. Old car. Who remembers what old car is? So you might want to go, they don't know what old car is. Maybe you talk about obedience and care and diligence and the whole 9 yards. So they truly understand why they're using you. But moving forward, guys, my understanding of these new agreements, and this has been in ours, that if they are going to have to pay the compensation, you will have to notify them before they ever walk in that home. So they will have the option, do they want to see that home or not? And I keep hearing people say, well, I'm gonna get that out of concessions. Maybe not, because maybe that neighborhood wasn't given any concessions. Like Amy said, go look at the data. If that particular neighborhood, no sellers were offering concessions, you better not say that because that's not gonna work. Also, one other thing I say, and this may sound a little crass, but I always say, let's see if we're a good fit for each other. Maybe we're not a good fit for each other. I'm
Right.
interviewing you just like you're interviewing me. And I think Amy said this yesterday, and I say this too. I only take on so many clients a year. And, I'm going to be very careful who I select. So y'all need to let them know this is a two-way street. And, maybe we're not a good fit. For the people that cannot seem to get one of these signed long-term, think short-term. Let's do like speed dating. We're going to do this for 1 week. Every house I show you, it will be listed on this agreement. And if you purchase that house, I will get compensation. If at the end of the week, you don't want to speed date with me anymore, we are both free to go. So I think if you talk to them about this does not have to be long-term. If they're really hesitant, you probably will get more of these signed. Now, there's a lot more clauses in there, but unfortunately, we don't have that kind of time to go over each and every one of them.
Ginger, amazing. Yeah.
Spot on, Ginger. Great.
We're getting a lot of applaud for you from our audience. Terry says good stuff. Lawrence says excellent intel from Amy and Ginger. And simply explained, we're navigating this change together to understand where we should go next and how we should actually do this. I love the part where you added about basically telling them that everything you tell me would remain confidential. It sounds like a given thing, but the moment you actually tell them that, I think it's a huge game changer.
One thing else that I always say, and I think this has made a difference in my career, I will say to them, do not tell me any of your confidential information until you sign with me, and do not tell any other agent your confidential information until you sign with them. But here's one other thing, guys. You have to ask them to sign the agreement. If you leave that buyer rep appointment without asking them to sign, well, then you might not get it signed.
Correct.
I think that's excellent. That's excellent point. It's the same thing with lawyers, right? Like the first thing they do is conflict. Check for a conflict of interest between their clients and yours. Immediately you feel like, okay, well, this is a safe place, and they can start talking about confidential information about what I'm going through.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's also why everybody's talking about how critical it is for us to be really, really ultra transparent with everybody we're talking about now. That is going to achieve so much trust in your relationships that with what's happening right now, I can't imagine anything much more important for that. So Sam, did you want to, are there any questions we should jump into before you start, or anything special?
I'm running through them. Most of them are just basically saying that they're enjoying the topics, and they're agreeing with what we've shared. I think this is a healthy conversation, and this is where we should be going. In the next series, we're going to cover more and more of these questions. So keep the questions coming, guys. Even if you don't get to answer them all today, we still have about 20 something minutes, but we would cover that for you. And we would cover that in the next webinar that we would have.
Yeah, for sure. And so Sam, why don't we transition to the marketing stuff and let you talk about all of your wonderful expertise. We'd really love your thoughts on some marketing strategies, for fostering transparency with potential clients, cultivating trust. Maybe you can start there. What do you think?
Sounds good. I think the biggest thing is we need to see what tools we have to actually market ourselves. The biggest thing that we have as an agent, as a person that's going to be basically connecting with other people, the biggest tool that you have is your sphere of influence. So your sphere of influence is the biggest source of your new leads. Every time we talk to agents, even if they don't do any type of advertising, always it's the referral network. Always it's their sphere of influence. So really work that sphere and try to add value there. I think it goes beyond just getting off luxury cars and walking in luxury homes. On Instagram and Facebook, you got to change that narrative. You got to actually add value. You got to tell people what's happening in your community. What is the latest change? For example, in Canada, we are seeing a huge change on future capital gains tax and how you're taxed in the future of your capital gains. every active realtor is starting to talk about that now. And I think that's the biggest thing. Like, you need to talk about the future of things that would impact your clients, that would impact your audience. For example, in LA, you have the mansion tax that's going to hit anything above 5 mil. Everyone thinks that it's just a tax for the wealthy, but it's going to impact commercial real estate as well. It's going to impact hotels, multifamily. So I think we need to really get in there and start educating our sphere. So my strategy has always been, if I meet you at an event, or if I meet you today at this webinar, my first course of action is add you on social media. So I can then start educating you through my social media channel. And I can start telling you what are the things that I see in my day as a real estate agent. I think that's the first action that I want you guys to start doing. And regardless of if this change goes into effect or not, you really need to start doing that, right? So if I had a penny for every time we see a realtor that has like 50 friends on Facebook, I'm like, if you just went around today, you would have 50 friends. Come on, like, you got to do more, right? And just adding and communicating with more people. So that's the first thing. The second, like, I have a series of things that I have in mind, and I will share them. But the biggest thing is use your sphere of influence. And here is how you would actually do that. I can share a quick slide in terms of how I have actually done this personally in the past. So this is your typical social media, or this is the typical reciprocity rule on social media. So I want everyone to start thinking of this and create reciprocity on social media. So you always want to communicate with people. Every time you go on social media, you actually want to spend 5 to 10 minutes liking content, commenting on content, and engaging with your sphere of influence. This is the most important thing you will do on social media. Don't think that it's kind of beneath you and you shouldn't do that. You should actually do that. That's the most important thing, to create and cultivate relationships. And I think that's the first thing that we keep seeing. The other thing that we want, and I think really helps you grow your social media, will be to mix business content and personal content within your social media. So think of your social media as this venue to post personal stuff, as well as what's happening in your business world. So if, like, in other words, if you just post just sold, just listed, just sold, just listed, you might be portraying that message that, hey, Ginger doesn't have time for me. She's busy selling multi-million-dollar homes or 500K homes in Texas. But the whole idea is you want to make sure that you are personable, you're approachable on social media, so you gather enough people to come and talk to you. The second thing is be across multiple platforms. I think this is another huge thing. I, as an agent, got my first deals from LinkedIn. And from that client, there's a good friend. From that client, I closed 5 or 6 other transactions from that one client. So LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, be on these social media channels. It's super important to actually be there actively and offer your hyper-local guidance and hyper-local stats and things that you know about. I think this is the biggest mistake we keep doing. Like, we keep sharing national stats. I mean, if you're sitting in LA, why would you care about the national average price? If you're in Texas even, you wouldn't care about that either. Like, you need to go hyper local. Everything we discussed today is also hyper local. Going deep into that, going deep into your community, talking about what's happening in your community would be super important. And I think if you are going to give them something to sign, they should be making sure that they get value out of it. And I think too, a lot of the points that basically Ginger and Amy shared, you need to showcase your value as a realtor, like why they need that, like what are the things that you would do. Are you a door opener, or will you be negotiating contracts on behalf of your buyer? So make content out of those. Even like say that, okay, tonight at 10 p.m. I'm skipping dinner with my family, working for that client, writing contracts. I mean, if you actually did that and showcase that value, people would trust you. People would want you to actually represent them in a contract and in a negotiation. And I think the next thing is you just work your database as well. Like we have a lot of past clients. I think there's a famous stat out there that if you asked every 10 home buyers and sellers after the transaction if they would use the same realtor again, 9 out of 10 would say yes, we would use Amy and Ginger, Sam again. But after 5 years, that is only about 10%. So 9 out of 10 of those guys actually used a different agent. And I think this is just the importance of you already have this customer, just stay in touch with them. Like, I think you can do various things like client appreciation events, sending a personalized email to them, sending weekly newsletters, whatever it is that you want to do, make sure you continue to do that, because your audience and your sphere of influence and your database even is the most important asset that you have in your business. And I think we don't value it enough. We're always focused on new business, new leads, working new leads, but we are always discounting what we already have. And I think the role of the agent in the new world is changing. It's going to be more about, here are the things that I would do for you. Here are the things that you should know about buying a home. Then I'm a great agent because, well, great. Thank you. It's like, I didn't need to know that you're a great agent. So I think that's that from my side. But that's it from me. I think I can keep it short on my side because there's so much value from Amy and Ginger that I can continue to learn.
That sounds wonderful. Thank you, Sam. I do have one quick question for you. Since you are the video guru, how do you feel about sort of best practices in using video these days for agents?
I think what we've seen is don't rely on just a marketing solution doing most of the work for you. Even I always tell our clients that as well. Like, we are creating content for you 24/7, but I still want you to create one content per week that is really you and talking about your day and your clients and your expertise. So that one video is going to be powerful. If you just do that one and get it combined with another marketing effort, you will really crush this new era of marketing. The other thing is we started launching a new solution where you can actually personalize our videos with a 10-second transcript, and you can actually read it, take your phone, read it, and basically add your own narrative to it. We've seen a 10x jump in terms of conversion on social media.
That's
so just
great.
add your face, like this 10-second work. It's not that much work. I mean, if I'm telling you to go and research a topic, then give it to ChatGPT, then take it back, then edit it, yes, don't do it. But if I'm telling you, hey, here's a video I'm posting for you, just add your 10-second narrative on top of it. And then we would take on the rest for you. I think that's the easiest thing that you can do. It doesn't take a lot of investment from you, and you would really create and cultivate relationships.
But yeah, I think what's really interesting about that, Sam, is like everything we're talking about drives down to a couple of similar sort of base elements. And one of them is this idea that if you are a local expert and you are being sort of yourself and being authentic about the type of clients you want to work with, messaging gets easier and easier and easier. You know, it's like you're not trying to be all things to everyone, and you're not trying to figure out what's happening nationally and globally. And, you know, it's like, I need to know my market. I need to know my people and my tribe. And your messaging, including your value prop, falls out of all of that. So I think I hear that a lot when you're talking about that too, you know, that it makes your life a lot easier to have, first of all, services like roomvu, but also when you're providing your own commentary, things get a lot easier when you don't have to, you know, figure out something you don't know anything about. So I love that. I think that's amazing. We have about like 5-10 minutes left. So Sam, are there any other questions you want us to deal with from our viewers today?
Okay, some comments that we're getting that are, well, the first one is, will this be recorded or rebroadcasted? Yes, this would be recorded. If you're watching this on YouTube, the same link will be available. And depending on the platform you're watching this, you would have access to it again and again. Just look for that. another key thing that we keep saying is like there's a lot of active realtors still, and they're still using buyer agents and buyer agency representations. They've been doing it for a while. So kudos to you guys. That's awesome. So that's good. Another one from Lawrence is I love that you have to tell the buyer, no matter how uncomfortable it gets, to actually discuss this huge topic. And I think it's just a new practice that we all have to adopt to it. Another question we're getting is from Frank. He's asking, do you prefer LinkedIn, Facebook, or Instagram? I think this is more of a question of what channel you use the most and what audience you have on different platforms. I'll tell you one thing, Facebook business is pay to play. So unless you're willing to pay Facebook to promote your posts, do not rely on Facebook business to get you new organic views. So instead of that, use Instagram. It's going to give you a lot more value. LinkedIn is super valuable. You're going to get so much views on a typical post, but few likes. So don't be discouraged by the low likes on LinkedIn, but look at the actual impression of your content. So a typical content for me on LinkedIn gets like 3,000, 4,000 views, whereas it only gets like 30 likes. So don't count the likes. I think that's the biggest thing with social media. And I think that's it really. Someone is asking, if you charge the retainer, what would you suggest as a baseline? I think this is a good question.
Are they asking me?
Yeah.
Sounds like it.
Well, it would depend on the transaction size and the amount of time I'm spending on it. And sometimes, depending on what it is, the retainer will go towards the overall commission. And sometimes it will not, because if they end up not buying anything, I retain the retainer. So let me just give you an example of when I would charge that. When they're working with a franchise company, you guys may not be aware of this, but franchises have to approve locations. And you may find the perfect location, Sam, and then they're going to go to, and I'll just give you an example, IHG is Holiday Inn. They're going to go to the original Holiday Inn owner within a 3 to 5 mile ring, and they're going to say, Miss Chorew, would you like to buy this piece of property because it's within your 3 to 5 mile radius protection ring? And if she says yes, I'm out. That means I'm not going to get paid. So that's when I would ask for a retainer. And I would keep that because I put all the work in. I cannot help it that your franchise did that to you. So that's just some examples, but it's really by transaction size. That probably didn't help at all, did it?
That was actually really good. Like that's a great example. Do you see retainers becoming a norm in the buyer agent world? Because like for instance, we see this in the UK. We have a lot of customers in the UK. And if you're acting as a buyer agent in the UK, you have to actually charge a retainer. That's the only way to start kind of forming that relationship after you've signed, so they don't just go to any listing agent.
I actually do see it becoming a thing. It may not be for 2 or 3 years, but I see it coming. I think it could be. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree. I think we've already seen it, and we've also seen it, to Sam's point, we've seen it in other countries. We've seen it in other industries that have transitioned to this. I don't know if you guys remember, but when the financial services space started transitioning, very much the same sort of pains that we're going through, they went through, and a lot of people went to fee for service, and same kind of idea. It's a menu of services, or it's a retainer, or a combination of both. And still in some cases, they also receive a percentage of, like whether, it's mutual funds or whatever, they also get a percentage of that. So I actually see it being very similar to what happened in that space. So I absolutely think that that's likely to be coming. And I actually think it's going to be driven by how agents want to build their business. If that's
Right.
how you want to build your business and you have the value prop to underscore it, then there's no reason why you can't do that. The only reason is if you have, for some reason, it locally, either your province or your state or your broker doesn't want you to do that. And I'm not sure if that's a possibility, but Amy, what do you think?
Well, the only other piece to consider is if a buyer can't afford it. So we have to watch very carefully. There's laws going in place now. Mortgage and finance companies are trying to figure out how to give back a credit the ability for sellers to say yes. So you could go put an offer in and put your fee, your compensation fee on top of the actual sales price and get a credit back from the seller, not the realtor. But every state is going to do it differently. So really watch that. The thing that scares me the most is sometimes now I try to call realtors about showings and information. I never get a call back. Maybe in commercial it works, but we're going to see that's going to have to really change because they're going to have to get back to us if there's zero compensation and I want to show that listing. So I love where you're going with this, but I think it's going to be a gradual change and we're going to have to watch the agents the consumers who can't pay, right? It has to be included. So anyway.
No, that's a really wonderful point that we know when we talk a little bit more about how the financial industry is going to play a part in all of this, which will be on another session. We've got some people that are going to come in to talk about that specifically, about where they think the financing piece is going to go. Because, Amy talks about affordability being one issue, obviously, but the other thing is appraisal. Will the property appraise out? So there's things that we're going to be talking about in more detail when we get to that topic. But I think it's a really good point, Amy, because absolutely not everybody can afford to pay a retainer, or, they'll need it to come from the.
If they're paying 5% down, probably they need every dollar.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think we're gonna cover like seller credits, closing credits, and all those things later on in our calls in the next session. So Sabine, in the interest of time, did you wanna just do an ending where you talk about HIVEOLOGie a little bit and we talk about roomvu for like 3 to 4 minutes each, and then we can basically go in for the next session and cover the rest of the questions after.
Yeah, I'll probably be only about a minute or so. I just wanted to let everybody know that coming up, we have workshops and courses at HIVEOLOGie. So just go to HIVEOLOGie.com. Not everything is live yet because we're in development on a couple. So if you sign up at that roomvu, gohive.info/roomvu, we'll make sure you get notified of anything new that's happening. But we're working on or already have content in buyer agency, compensation, listing strategies, diversifying your income, lead gen, marketing, luxury, short-term rentals, new home sales. There's all sorts of cool stuff that is available or coming. And specifically, both Amy and Ginger have workshops coming up. So we will send you a link to those. Amy's is on, let me get this right, Amy, May 8th. And that's going to be on in the email that you're going to get from us too. We'll follow up with links to all this stuff. And we're just in the process.
I just put in the link for everyone to take a look at it as well on YouTube.
Oh,
gohive.info/roomvu.
Thank you, Sam. That's brilliant. And Ginger is working with us to create a program on buyer agency agreements and go deeper on that. That will also talk to compensation some more as well. So that's going to be another session that'll be live shortly too. And then the last thing I'll say is, well, 2 quick things. We wanted you to also know that we have the next session here that we mentioned earlier is May 23rd. So put that in your diary. So that's going to be the next one. And you'll learn more about what we're covering in that one soon. But our goal is to deal with all of these topics basically that we just mentioned. So we're going to just keep going deeper and deeper into each of these individually as we move forward. Today was kind of like a more of an overview of each of these areas. And then the last thing is, every time you learn with HIVEOLOGie, we invest 3% of every dollar directly into real hives in the real world. So our social mission is bee conservation. So that is another bonus when you choose to work with us. So we hope that you like that. And I think that's it, Sam. I think everybody, once they start to, sign up for stuff and they start enjoying more and more of these events with us, they'll get a better sense of what we do. We have loads and loads of free, wonderful, what we call micro tactics, which are less than 15-minute sessions and tools and downloads and all sorts of cool stuff that people are really taking a lot of advantage of. So just sign up and you'll get lots of stuff. And if at some point, you don't want to hear from us anymore, that's fine too. But hope you will join.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I think both platforms are geared towards education, adding value, using free stuff first, seeing the value, and then subscribing to the right material that is good for you. So Gary from our team would actually present a little bit about 3 minutes as well, 2 to 3 minutes about what roomvu is. So in case yeah, you can learn that in case you're not an active RoomView member yet. It wouldn't be a huge presentation, just telling you the value of social media and so on, and then we can wrap this call up.
Fantastic. Thank you, Sam. So let me just share my screen. I'll jump right into it. Here's what we do know is that real estate is a zero-sum game. What does that mean? It means that, hey, you know what? There's a limited supply of properties. Therefore, there's a limited supply of opportunities. And if you miss out on an opportunity, it means that you lose because there's no way to win back that opportunity. So therefore, as real estate agents, you need every single competitive advantage that you can acquire. And by partnering with roomvu, that's exactly what you're going to accomplish, a competitive advantage, because we're going to help you leverage your social media in such a way that you're going to achieve top of mind awareness within your social network and within your sphere of influence. So what do we do? Well, listen, whether you partner with us or a different marketing company, there's three things that must happen at the same time in order for any type of campaign to be deemed effective. Make sure you use these three principles as your guiding mechanism when making a determination as far as investing in marketing. Number one is the company that you're thinking about partnering, are they going to offer you an element of exposure? Meaning, is your face and your name and your brand going to be seen? Because if it's not, you're just going to be simply wasting your money. The second one is arguably the more important one, that's repetition, right? So not only is it important that you're seeing, it's absolutely imperative that you're seeing often, because that's where association begins to occur, right? My name, my brand in association with your need as, you know, for somebody to buy or sell real estate or help you guide you through the process. And then the last one is the targeting. So we've got to be seeing often, and we've also got to be seen by the right people. And by capitalizing on your social network, that's exactly who is most likely to use you for your specialty, right? They're the ones that are going to call you and say, hey, I need some help in listing my property or buying a home. So when it comes to these three things, roomvu has got you covered, and we do it better than anybody else in the marketplace. Why? Why do we do it better than anybody else in the marketplace? Well, we leverage artificial intelligence to create hyper-local content. Well, what does that mean? Well, let's just say, for example, you hypothetically, or you live in Scottsdale, Arizona, you partner with roomvu, and all the information that we're going to pull on your behalf so that you don't have to do it, it's going to pertain to your marketplace in Scottsdale, Arizona. We have developed a web crawler that goes out and searches all of the information and content that pertains to the Scottsdale marketplace. We package it really nicely. We obviously have a group of editors to make certain that all the information is relevant. And then we produce these, you know, videos on your behalf. The videos that we produce, if you were to do it on your own on a daily basis, I would say it would take you between 2 to 3 hours from finding the information, recording yourself, editing it, and then packaging it in a nice way, right? So we're saving you at least 2 to 3 hours on a daily basis. Also, we're going to post on your behalf every single day, right? One of the biggest gaps in life is the one between knowing and doing. Everybody knows that you should be posting on a consistent basis, but not everybody has the discipline to do it. Why? Because they don't know what necessarily is needed to post. Well, guess what? Let us take this off your plate for you. So that way you know that you're going to be seeing often and by the right people on the daily basis. And as far as the designs are concerned, well, we got you covered there as well. We will literally arrange an appointment for you to meet with our graphic design team. So that way you can post with pride. And what does that mean? Well, whatever you've envisioned for your brand in your mind, we're going to help bring it to life and make it tangible. So that way, when you're seeing online, it's exactly the way that you want to be represented. So let us take care of the big six of social media on your behalf, which are YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikTok. If you're only doing 2 or 3 of these and not the others, you're missing out, right? Maybe you don't even like TikTok. That's fine, but that doesn't mean that there's not a market or an opportunity there. Let us help you capitalize on those opportunities, right? Because that's going to open up an entirely new silo of your business. Because remember—
That's perfect, Gary. Thank you.
Top of mind awareness leads to obviously brand recognition, which will lead to more buyer and seller leads. So let roomvu take care of this for you.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks. We had a few questions about how roomvu does it, so we figured it would be a good segue into our partnership. I think the last piece is both roomvu members and HIVEOLOGIE members get access to both programs. We are really advocating for better education, better systems to equip you in the long run for your success. And remember, we are all in this together. I'm an agent too. Gary himself was a mortgage broker. I think Ginger is a commercial agent. And I think that's the beauty of this. Like, we are all in this industry. We know the changes that are coming, and we are doing this together to navigate this change. So thank you so much to our guests today, Amy, Ginger, and thank you, Sabine, for organizing such an amazing line of speakers.
Absolutely, our pleasure. Thank you, everyone. It was wonderful to be here, and we look forward to seeing you again, hopefully on the 23rd.
Yes, this is awesome. Thank you so much. And again, thank you, Amy and Ginger. This was really valuable for me.